I'm Luke Owen, and this is the WrestleTalk News, and this episode is sponsored by Shopify. Our top story today concerns the concerning news of Bryan Danielson's injury that he suffered during the main event with Kazuchika Okada at the weekend's AEW New Japan Super Show, Forbidden Door. Danielson took an elbow drop from Okada about 10 minutes before the end of their 30-minute match, which broke his forearm. It was the second most devastating elbow drop of the night after Satoshi Kojima elbow dropped CM Punk right in the cock. Danielson finished the match tapping out Okada with a variation of his lapel lock with one working arm, and in the press conference following the show revealed that his injury would keep him out of action for around 6 to 8 weeks. This would presumably cause some issues with the planned Blackpool Combat Club versus Elite Blood and Guts match, which is rumored to take place next month. But 6 to 8 weeks isn't the end of the world, unless of course it's worse than you think. And apparently that is the case, at least according to Danielson's wife, the former Brie Bella, who posted a photo of the x-ray showing the break to her Instagram stories, noting that it's definitely worse than we thought. There's no other details on what worse than we thought could mean, or if it means that Danielson would be out for more than 8 weeks. But if he is out for longer, that would not only cause issues for Blood and Guts, it would mean that Danielson wouldn't be available until after AEW's massive all-in show at Wembley in August. We here at WrestleTalk wish Bryan Danielson the speediest of recoveries because I need to see him wrestle at Wembley, and if he doesn't, I'm gonna write an angry tweet about it. Well, probably more of a frustrated tweet, and then I might press send, or I'll likely just delete it because it's not his fault, is it? We shift now to WWE and the constant power struggle that has been raging on since Vince McMahon wormed his way back into the company after being ousted last year over several sexual misconduct claims, and has even gotten himself back into a creative position in the company, even after publicly saying that he wouldn't be in the weeds of all that nonsense. Bear all of this in mind when I tell you this fun fact that we are just 24 days away from the 1-year anniversary of Vince McMahon retiring from WWE. There have been some conflicting reports about what it is that Vince is actually doing when it comes to creative decisions in WWE for both Raw and SmackDown. PW Insider reported that this week's episode of Raw had Vince's fingerprints all over it, while Better Wrestling Experience said the opposite is true. What has been relatively consistent, however, is that most reports claim that the majority of Vince's changes are just match orders, match timings, or placements of certain angles, which he does remotely unless WWE is doing a show that is close to the WWE offices. Fightful have even said they're going to stop reporting Vince has made changes to Raw because it's just the norm now. Like it was when he was in charge, Vince is making changes to the shows hours before they air, and that's just norm. Which means that when Fightful do report on a Vince is making changes story, it must be a big deal. By the way, I just wanted to let you know, if you didn't see the announcement yesterday, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful is here in London, and today will be on the in-person Quizzlemania over on Parts of Unknown, and I cannot wait to beat him off wrestling trivia. No, beat him on wrestling trivia. On wrestling trivia. A lot of the issues over Vince's changes stem from the June 19th episode of Raw, where Vince McMahon changed the first half hour of the show, removed a pivotal storyline moment, and cancelled Seth Rollins' open challenge for the World Heavyweight title. And last Friday's SmackDown also saw several matches changed at Vince's request. Dave Meltzer has said on Wrestling Observer Radio over the weekend that several in WWE, he speculates that would include Triple H, were frustrated over the changes Vince had made to SmackDown. And there was even a reported meeting between Triple H and Nick Khan to find out a way to stop the Vince changes interfering with their creative process. Fightful also corroborates there has been a ton of frustration around several changes to last week's Raw and SmackDown episode at almost every level of WWE. We've got more on this creative split in WWE still to come, but first, it's time to check in with TurboJack for this episode's sponsor.
Our name is Wrestler TurboJack, and if you missed it last time, I set up my business, the Turbo Man. It's going great. Everybody likes listening to their favorite tunes all at once. What's not to love? Do you know why business is booming? Because TurboJack is using Shopify. Shopify is an all-in-one commerce platform for anyone looking to start or grow their business by selling online, in person, and across all major platforms. Not only can they kickstart your business, they got great marketing tools to help it grow, like Shopify Forms, Shopify Inbox, and Shopify Email. Meaning I can get direct customer service and feedback like this one here, from Fabian Lenoir for Life at email.com. It says I'm a petite chichin. What a compliment, nice guy! Shopify also makes it super easy to sell in person with Shopify POS, point of sale, with tap to pay on iPhone too if you're in the United States. Best country in the world. So I can go out and about with the Turbo Man on the street where the customers are. You click the link in the description or go to shopify.com/WrestleTalk. You can get a free trial for Shopify too. And it's endorsed by WrestleTalk as they use Shopify for their own merch store, WrestleShop. So click that link in the description and check in next time to see where the Turbo Man business goes. That is not part of the functionality. Hello? Oh my God. The $100,000 man. Yes, I want to talk business.
Thank you for that, Turbo Jack, and you do look very familiar. I can't place where I've seen those nipples before. Back to the news and WWE's big plan to deal with the Vince interference, or Vince-terference if you will, is to, and I'm not kidding here, Vince-proof Raw and SmackDown. That is how one source put it to Fightful. WWE are trying to Vince-proof WWE. Also, Vince-proof, name of your creator wrestler on AEW Fight Forever. And the way they're going to do this is also quite unbelievable. It's to announce matches ahead of time. Now I know what some of you are thinking, but didn't WWE used to promote matches ahead of time, either on TV or on social media, and they just got changed anyway? And you would be right to think that. But according to Fightful, McMahon generally likes to make good on advertised matches if possible, even if they weren't his idea. That just doesn't sound right. So by announcing matches 3 weeks ahead of time, like they have done with Charlotte Flair vs. Asuka, that is an attempt to make sure that Vince doesn't change or cancel matches when it comes to showtime. The Money in the Bank this weekend is another loaded card for the company, with 2 ladder match lineups, Rollins vs. Finn Balor for the title, and what will likely be the main event, the Bloodline Civil War tag match of Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus the Usos. I think more people are talking about the LIW Civil War this weekend, but WWE can take comfort in being a close second. What they can't take comfort in, however, is the finish of that tag match. We've heard a lot about the splitting creative when it comes to Trips and Vince. Just a couple of weeks ago, Trips put back in a segment that Vince had cut out, but apparently there's now a civil war in the creative team over the Bloodline tag, according to WrestleVotes on Twitter. They posted hearing WWE has 2 very drastic finishes in play for the Bloodline matchup on Saturday. Creative seems split on the decision. Our predictions for Money in the Bank will go live in a couple of hours over on the WrestleTalk podcast channel, so make sure you subscribe to hear our different thoughts on what could happen at the end of that match, and let me know what you think will happen in the Bloodline Civil War tag match in the comments down below. But that might not be the biggest bit of news coming out of Money in the Bank, however, as Worked Wrestling on Twitter is also reporting that we could see a big return this weekend. Matt Riddle is set to challenge Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship, and that sparked some speculation online that it could lead to the return of Randy Orton, who's been out of action with a back injury since May of last year. Worked Wrestling have looked into this and are now reporting that Orton is close to making his return to WWE and could even do it this Saturday at Money in the Bank. Pause! As we announced yesterday, this Friday, the good folks at THQ Nordic are sponsoring us to host the PFK World Cup to determine the best in the world at AEW Fight Forever, a return to old school arcade style wrestling games which launches this week. But who will be going for the gold? Well, we've got 2 more names to join the fray. As the face of No Rolls Barred, the man who can't keep his hair the same color after a photo shoot, Adam Blompier, tries his luck. What's better than 1 member of No Rolls Barred, but 2 members of No Rolls Barred, as Holly Musgrave bangs her gavel on all our heads. I don't think there's a sledgehammer in the game, so we might be okay. Join us on Friday over on Parts Unknown for a live stream celebration to mark the launch of AEW Fight Forever and crown the best in the world at a very specific wrestling video game. Unpause and back to the news, because it's not like WWE need big names like Randy Orton, as this week's episode of Raw drew an absolutely incredible viewership number of 1.973 million viewers. Nearly 2 million people tuned in to watch the go-home show of Raw. That's their best number since the Raw after Mania 39, and that always draws a huge number. The first 2 hours, in fact, did draw over 2 million viewers each, with only a slight dip to 1.8 in the 3rd hour. And that all-important 18 to 49 demo was also the highest since Raw after Mania, with a 0.61. As Dave Meltzer writes on Figure 4, Raw last night did gigantic numbers with no real obvious reason, since nothing major was advertised for the night. Wasn't quite as good news for AEW, however, as the second episode of Collision dropped by around 27% from its debut last week to draw 595,000 viewers. Looking for those silver linings, though, this is the same drop that Dynamite saw from its first to second episode. But in actual good news, good news if you're a TV network head for TNT, it's the .21 Collision got in the all-important 18-49 demo, because that is better than what TNT would usually get in that time slot of .09. So the show is working for TNT. But before we jump into the NXT 1 minute 1 take, there was an incident a few months ago where Rick Steiner, father of NXT's Bron Breakker, made transphobic comments towards Impact star Giselle Shaw. Shaw's story was backed up by several other wrestlers at the convention, and Breakker himself has addressed his father's comments do not reflect on him in an interview he did with USA Today. A Fightful Select have reported that while the incident will mean Rick Steiner isn't brought back to WWE for quite some time, there is no heat on Breakker himself. So why don't you use the free time you've got on this toilet break from work to leave a comment down below to tell Giselle Shaw how awesome she is. But yeah, it's now time for my NXT 1 minute 1 take, a format that I've absolutely nailed every time that I have done it. Let me get my clock sorted. Timer, 1 minute on the clock. Get this all lined up. Do you there? Okay. Whew. Xavier Woods believes in you. Kendo Nagasaki believes in you. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Tiffany Stratton defeated Thea Hale to retain her NXT Women's Championship on a roll-up. Hale got a visual tap out, but the referee was distracted by Charlie's MC and Drew Gulak. They turned on Duke Hudson, but he was saved by returning Andre Chase. That was not a good start. There was a cool video package for Ilya Dragunov. Why isn't he on the main roster? And there was a meeting between Kalani Jordan and Dana Brooke, and then Gallus retained their tag titles over Malik Blade and Edris Afone, and then there was interference by Stax Lorenzo. Schism had a family meeting, and there was a match set up for next week between the Dyad and the Creeds, which would mean the Grizzled Young Veterans might finally get their release from WWE because it's a loser leave town match. Seth Rollins popped the rating last week so much that they sent Rhea Ripley to NXT this week for a cameo, warning Carmelo Hayes to get in Judgment Day business. I wouldn't worry about too much. Nathan Fraser defeated Dragon Lee to retain the Heritage Cup. Promo for Raw Underground, they set up Mustafa Ali versus Tyler Bate. Von Wagner and Mr. Stone might break up. Gigi Dolan beat someone like Kira Valkyrie, attacked JC Jane, and then Carmelo Hayes retained over Baron Corbin in a decent match, and the closing shot was Bron Breakker storming out of Shawn Michaels' office. Yep, that was might be my worst attempt I've done yet. Anyway, that's enough from me. I'm going to go study and stare at wrestlers' nipples now as I prepare for today's Quizlemania, which will feature an in-person appearance from none other than Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful. So make sure you subscribe to Parts of Unknown to see that madness later on today. Nipples. 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 Nipples.